UPod Street is an official affiliate of Birdland Sports. Visit birdlandsports.com/UPodStreet, and 10% of your order will go directly to supporting the pod. Use code UPodStreet at checkout, and you'll get 10% taken off your order. Now sit back, relax, and keep that beer cold, because it's on to UPod Street. All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to UPod Street. As always, I'm Jimmy Horn. I don't have a witty thing for my name this week. And joining me, of course, is the brunette Thor himself, Jack Bain.
What up?
Straight back from Colorado. Jack, how was Colorado?
Quite literally straight back. Red-eye flight this morning at a ripe 5:35 Mountain Time. So got back home around 11 here. It was a good time, man. Went to a Rockies game on Friday
How was Coors
night.
Field? Let me hear your review of Coors Field.
Coors Field was cool. I got in there as the gates opened, and yeah, it's a nice field. It's kind of it's like a party atmosphere almost. They have a couple like roof deck bars and restaurants. So that was cool to see. But it's just kind of a beautiful stadium all in all. Like, grass is like really green, everything in center field. The fountains and the trees are really cool for sure. They had an open concourse, so like kind of the opposite of Camden Yards, which I definitely enjoyed. Coined for having the cheapest beer in baseball, not the case. Definitely not the case.
How much? So obviously they probably had a lot of Coors there.
Yes.
How much were you paying for a Coors?
So really all you could find were Coors 24-ounce tall boys. That was like pretty much all you could find around the stadium. And it was $13.
So no 16 ounces.
No, not really. And they were the same price as Camden Yards. But
it's brewed right there. They don't even have to ship it anywhere.
It's right. But yeah, no. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
So
how was the food?
Didn't eat there.
Okay.
Ate
Smart,
before at one of the restaurants outside. Yeah, it was, vacation's never cheap. So
right.
Pinch pennies where you can.
You guys, by the way, are going to see us looking back and forth a little bit during this because obviously the game is happening right now. G-Rod's return, which we're gonna come back to that in a little bit. I'm gonna start this episode off with a little retraction, I guess it would be, Jack. Correction, yeah. On the show last week, we were talking about Jorge Mateo not being in the lineup and where we like to move people and that sort of thing. And I was saying what I meant to said. God, I'm really good at talking, Jack.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's already starting. What I meant to say was I like Gunnar being our full-time shortstop and then rotate guys around him as the full-time shortstop. What came out of my mouth was I like Gunnar at second base, which of course is not correct. Which is why I was so confused because Jack, you were acting like I just said the most ridiculous thing in the world when I said it. I was like, why is he reacting this way?
It's like, I'll take your word for it, but I don't know, Chief.
and then I listened back to it. I was like, oh, that's why he looked at me like I was an idiot because I said something stupid. So just sometimes my mind wants to say something and my mouth says something completely different. So that's all that was. I'm not as stupid as people think I am. I just sound much more stupid than I actually am.
Right.
But yes, so I want Gunnar our full-time shortstop, which seems to be happening, Jack.
Yeah.
Since the All-Star break, Jorge Mateo has only started one game.
Very nice.
Which we're only 4 games in, but 3.5. But is what it is. But enough of that. Enough of me talking about my mistakes in life. I have plenty of time when I try to fall asleep at night to reflect on that.
Oh
Um,
my. Oh my.
let's get into the week in review, and we have a nice little week in review here, Jack, because we're not just doing Orioles games. We also had the All-Star break in this week, and it
Yeah.
started off on Monday night with our very own Adley Rutschman in the home run derby. What did you think?
Dude, I thought like Adley did really well. Like worst odds to win the whole thing. Came out, put up 28 from both sides of the plate. I was like, oh, no way he loses. And then Luis Robert came up and did eliminate him, but I thought it was a good showing. Nonetheless, I mean, it was a pretty fun home run derby. What do you think about that format of the timed?
I don't know. I mean, there was a part of me when they switched over to that format that I really missed the old format because I like the whole you get 10 outs thing, and it
Right,
kind of like when you hit home runs, like really sit there and appreciate it. I mean, like they were going back about, it was 30 years ago that during the 93 home run derby, Ken Griffey Jr. hit the warehouse. And like that's a classic clip where he hits the warehouse, and you just hear the announcers go, that may have hit the warehouse. And then
right,
over the loudspeakers, over the PA system in the stadium, they went, that hit the warehouse. And like he has to stop swinging because he's laughing, right?
right,
And like you don't, when someone hits a ridiculous home run in this format, you don't really get that time to appreciate it. That being said, the problem with the 10 out format was that it would go on forever.
right.
So I think if I had to change the home run derby in any sort of way, I would do some sort of mix of the two. I would keep the timer format, but instead of doing the head to head, I think I would do like the old format where it was like the top
Yeah,
four advance and then top two advance and then whoever wins that wins it. Because it kind of does suck that Adley put on a show and then like Vlad Jr. in the first round hit what, like 17 home runs to advance
yeah,
and ends up winning the whole thing. But he, if everyone had been together, he would have been eliminated.
right.
Um, so I think the timer is fine. I would like to see it no longer the head to head.
Yeah, I that's kind of where I'm at. I just thought like, Adley, if he didn't go up against Robert, he would have beaten like I think everybody but like two, except for like Julio and like one other guy that I'm
Yeah.
blanking on. So yeah, like you switch up the format a little bit. It kind of, I don't want to say evens playing field, but like it's the same thing as March Madness, right? Like you get the hand that you're dealt. It's seeded in a very like particular way. So I don't know. I think that it,
And at
it
the
could
end of
be
the
looked
day, I mean,
into.
like, here's my thing too. The home run derby's fun,
Yeah, no, it was
right?
a good. It was a good
So
derby.
there are some people that are out there like freaking out, like, oh my god, Adley like would have advanced, like this thing is rigged. Like, who cares? It's all for fun. And Jack, I know you and I talked about it the day after, where Adley Adley's the one that put on the show. Adley was all that people could talk about the day after the
Mm-hmm.
Derby because no one in the Derby before had, at least as far as I know, has switched in the middle of their round. Has suddenly gone like, oh, I'm going this side of the plate. All right, well, for my bonus round, I'm going to go this side of the plate.
Yeah.
That was so electric. The crowd got so into it because, of
Yeah.
course, he then went what 8 for 10 from the right side of the plate,
I think it was 7 for 8.
something like that.
Some nuts.
Um, so they were going like, if you watch the video of like not the broadcast necessarily, but like one of the videos off to the side where you can see the crowd behind him when he switches, he gets a few people like standing up like, oh yeah, this is cool. And
Yeah.
then with each home run, more and more people are standing up
Right.
going like, oh my god. And the
Yeah.
announcers during it are going nuts.
Right.
um and I told you, Jack, I said this was his 93 Griffey moment,
Mm-hmm.
because when Ken Griffey Jr. hit the warehouse in 1993, he didn't win the home run derby.
No.
But nobody remembers who won the home run derby in 1993. They just remember that Ken Griffey Jr. hit the warehouse.
Right.
This is Adley's Ken Griffey Jr. moment where, yeah, okay, Vladdy went on and win, but in 5-10 years, is anybody going to remember that Vlad Jr. won that home run derby? Or are they going to remember the moment that Adley Rutschman switch hit in the home run derby and still dominated?
Right.
I
Or
mean,
like Julio hit 41 at
but
home.
that's not the highlights you're seeing all over the place.
Yeah,
It
I
was
don't know.
cool. Don't get me wrong. It was cool. But like all the highlights, and maybe it's just like what's targeted on my social media and stuff like that.
Right.
But everything I saw the day after was just Adley Rutschman's switch hit during the home run derby.
Yeah, that might be a targeted social media presence, but anyways, the All-Star game, I think like these low-scoring All-Star games is just kind of what it's going to be from now on. You got all of these arms that throw hard and have like wiffle ball moving pitches. I mean, yeah, I mean we could talk about how Felix kind of blew it there at the end. Yeah, whatever. Game doesn't matter. Who cares? Like he then got a save like in the next series after the break. So
Well, he got 2 saves.
yeah, 2 saves.
We'll get to that. I mean, the All-Star game was, for a baseball fan, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it was cool to watch Austin Hayes. I got annoyed because they were interviewing someone when Austin Hayes got a hit.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
didn't
just sort of
show
like an
it.
aside, like, oh yeah, Austin Hayes got a hit. But I'm like, dude, that's a story right there. Austin
Yeah.
Hayes in his first ever All-Star game getting a start and getting a hit.
Yeah.
I was excited that Adley caught half the game.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Adley wasn't a starter, they still recognized him enough to say, hey, this is still one of the best catchers in the American League, so we're having him catch half the game.
Yeah.
Yanir Cano, we got a Yanir Cano K stance in the All-Star
Mm-hmm.
game. That's a great moment.
Awesome.
Only to be ruined by Vlad Jr. being awful at first base and getting an error that extended the inning.
More
The only
FaceTime.
thing is, like, yeah, it sucked that Felix blew the game. The only thing that sucked about it is that there was that whole Twitter battle about the guy that like interviewed Felix at the All-Star
Oh
game.
my God. Yeah.
So this whole thing, I think the whole thing is just blown up, and it's stupid on multiple sides, right? First of all, the guy, like Felix Bautista, great guy on top of being a great player, is enjoying his first ever All-Star game, and some radio personality in Seattle gets access to interview all the All-Stars, and he walks up to Felix Bautista, whose first language is not English, by the way, speaks very little English, and asks him how he feels about being called King Felix, because he's upset that the Orioles Twitter account one time when they were playing Seattle called him King Felix. And then he said, how do you feel about being called King Felix? And Felix Bautista was like, I don't know, which was probably, I don't know what you just said to me. And the guy was like, well, you want the Orioles to stop calling you that, right? You want them to stop calling you that? He's like, tell them to stop calling you that. And Felix was just like, okay. And so people were mad, right? And people were saying, like, I want to call him King Felix even more now, and like all this stuff. Look, is it annoying that, this guy gets all-star access and he's gonna do that to Felix Bautista? Yeah. But at the same time, King Felix is not even his nickname. It's the Mountain. Why are we fighting about this? Why are we
Yeah.
arguing about this?
It was just weird. Like the way that guy, so for anybody that doesn't know, his name is Dave Softy Maller from
Softy is right.
93.3 KJR FM Seattle. Yeah, it was just weird. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, be a professional in like your work. It wasn't professional. Like, you basically ambushed this guy who, like, uses a translator, and then like you said, it's just weird.
It
That
created this like
guy,
weird rivalry between Mariners and Orioles fans, and Mariners fans were celebrating when Felix gave up the what would be the game-winning home run in the All-Star game.
yeah, and he was just like a dick about it on Twitter afterwards. Whatever, it's over.
Yeah.
The Orioles do go to Seattle again in August.
Which, interestingly enough, they will be having a Felix
Yeah,
Hernandez Mariners Hall of Fame induction during that, where they're going to be
yeah,
giving away King Felix shirts.
which will be funny, when Felix
Yeah.
gets the save.
Oh
So.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
Um,
anyways, All Star Week was cool. It's always a fun time of the year, and there's been a lot of shakeups around the league as far as standings go, especially over in the NL West and the NL Central.
yeah, Jack, I,
Um,
I totally skipped over your notes from around the league. I apologize for
hey,
that.
it happens. It's all good.
That'll be my next apology.
So this game right now that's going on, the Rays are currently starting their game up against the Rangers, and obviously we know the Orioles are currently facing off against the Dodgers. My mass and broadcast a little behind, but I got bottom fourth, one out. It was up 3-1, and then over in Texas, it is 1-0 Rays in the bottom of the first. Shane McClanahan returning to the bump for the first time since he was hurt. We'll see if his dominance keeps up even after that injury. The Toronto Blue Jays kind of catching some fire here after the All-Star break. They are winners of 4 in a row. They are now back in a wild card spot. Boston Red Sox also playing good baseball. They're 2 games out of a wild card, and I feel like we have to talk about the Yankees.
Oh my God.
I was in attendance on Friday night when they played the Rockies. They
What
kind of
was
started
the
off.
what was the ratio Rockies to Yankees fans?
I think it was probably 70-30 Yankees to Rockies fans. Let me tell you, I was a Rockies fan. I had my shirt on, got a half price Chris Bryant City Connect jersey. I was definitely a Rockies fan, and there was a lot of Yankee fans around. It was kind of nuts about 2,000 miles away from New York, but honestly, it was probably worse than like what happens at Oriole Park when the Yankees are in town.
Really?
Yeah, I was really shocked. But the
Wow.
Yankees lost that game that I was at 7-2. And then big highlight on Sunday, the Rocks walked it off in extra innings. And yeah, man, Yankees dropped that one. They're kind of scuffling a little bit. They fired their batting coach, got Sean Casey now as their hitting coach. We talked about it before the show. They're kind of on the market for almost every position, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that's the report I saw is that said the Yankees are looking for help at catcher, corner outfield, rotation, and reliever. Jack, there's barely anything else other than that on your team.
Yeah, which is weird because their bullpen has been great honestly since they played the Orioles that series. I feel like it's kind of when their bullpen started to hit the decline. Then it was even worse over the course of the weekend. I was excited to see Carlos Rodon pitch Friday night, and
Yeah.
for the first couple innings, he didn't disappoint, but it kind of got rocked and gave way to a bullpen that didn't really help that much. Rocky's bullpen looked great. I'm sure they're going to get a couple nice prospects in return for some of those bullpen arms.
Maybe some bullpen arms coming to Baltimore.
Yeah, ideal.
Maybe.
Yeah, dude, they had a light show for their closer, Justin Lawrence.
Did they? Oh.
Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, Yankees last place.
Dude, it's got to be rough. It's interesting because like Buster Olney, and like we'll talk about this a little bit more when we talk about some trade stuff, but Buster Olney's reporting that the most likely landing spot before the trade deadline for Shohei Ohtani is New York. And I'm just wondering like how, because like what do the Yankees have to offer the Angels?
The Yankees don't have an insane farm. Like they're pretty depleted at the AAA level. They have some
And at the major league level right now, why would you want anyone?
Yeah. They're just kind of short in depth overall. Their plan kind of works. Like they're 50-44, but it's not really the New York way. Again, injuries have hurt them at the major league level. But yeah, other than a few pretty like dominant arms at the AA level, like they're kind of short. They have a lot of guys who are still in double and need some more work down there. But I don't think they could put a package together to get Otani.
Well, the report I saw is that if you want Shohei Otani, you have to be prepared to put a package together that includes multiple
Top
top
100 guys,
100 prospects. I mean, you're looking at a package probably of at least 2 top 100 prospects,
if
and
not
then
three.
if not 3, and then probably at least 3 other top 30 prospects if you don't also like throw in some major league talent or something like that. Because the Angels are a team that needs a lot of help, and they're going to give away the best player in baseball. Um, they're going to demand a lot for it to try and help them rebuild, which they've been kind of rebuilding for like the past like 8 years or whatever, but also not at the same time. Um,
Yeah, they always try and add guys, like especially this year. And I mean, it worked for the first half of the year, and then injuries, kind of been the name of the game for some of these teams who are on the outside looking in, trying to win some ball games. And I mean, Trout went down for them. A lot of other their kind of role players went down, and they find themselves in fourth place, 2 games under right
well,
now.
and my thing is, if you're the Yankees, I mean, does Shohei Ohtani help you? Obviously.
I mean,
Is
yeah,
he
can you
is he really filling the gaps though where you have him? Because I don't know that with how bad the Yankees are performing right now and where they're saying their holes are, is that really where Shohei Ohtani can fill the holes for you? Or are you going
I
to
mean,
create more holes trading for him?
I think like long run, yes, you can't trade for Otani. But if they were in second place in the division, right? If they had the Orioles record, yeah, I get trading for Otani. I get blowing it up and trying to win this year. But like you're in last place. You're not even in a wild card spot right now. And it's been nothing but like bad vibes in New York right now.
That's my thing. You're in last place. And what, 8 games out of first?
9.
9 games out of first, which I mean, there's still half the season to go. I mean, you can theoretically make that up.
It's
But
tough.
in a
It's a tough
division
division
that
to do that.
includes the Rays, the Orioles, the Blue Jays, uh,
Shit,
and
you could
even the
put the
Red
Red
Sox are
Sox in
ahead of
there.
you,
Yeah.
like like are you going to be able to make that up? I don't think you are. I don't think Otani's enough to make that up. Because you think those teams that are ahead of you aren't also going to improve? Like it's
Yeah. The way that I look at it is like in baseball, you need to have a complete lineup to be good. Like it's not like the
Mhm.
NBA where you can have like a LeBron James type player and he can kind of carry you through a playoff run. Like in baseball, you get one guy that bats 4 times. And I mean Aaron Judge kind of did that for them last year. But like they didn't win the World Series. They had a historic run from Aaron Judge, but like we're bounced in the playoffs,
Right.
right?
Well,
So
and we're
like
seeing now that without Aaron Judge, they're nothing.
right.
They have no depth. They have no next man up. I mean, that's the big difference between them. I mean, like I'll use the Orioles because every time someone goes down with the Orioles, someone's been stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
For
look at
sure.
Ryan O'Hearn, right?
Yeah.
Did you have Ryan O'Hearn as like a guy that was going to help this club like succeed on your bingo card of
Yeah.
Orioles 2023?
My 2023 Orioles bingo card did not include Ryan O'Hearn being one of the more important role players on the team. No.
Right. Like it's wild and we all did kind of panic when Cedric Mullins went down with an injury. And then we picked up Aaron Hicks, who the Yankees
Yeah.
dropped, and then suddenly he played well. I mean, he's hitting a little dearth right now. It was to be expected. He wasn't going to continue what he started it off with for his whole time in Baltimore, but he filled a hole, and he's still on the team. We got
Yeah.
Cedric Mullins back, and they said, you know what, you're good enough. We're going to keep you on the team, and we have a 5-man outfield right now, really, if you include Santander, and I like they're all good. Like you throw any of one of them in there, I'm like, this is a good outfield.
They produced a 57-35 record.
Yeah.
Far.
So yeah, the Yankees, I think I'm going to be really curious what they do at the trade deadline
For
because
sure.
they are facing a gigantic question of buy or sell.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, quickly through the rest of the AL. Minnesota Twins have put themselves in a pretty good spot in the Central. They're 48 and 46 in first place. Guardians, kind of just there still. Just watched a very nice outfield assist, by the way, um, from Hicks out there as we were talking about him.
It's the magic of UPod.
Yeah, what can we say?
Remember when you talked about Ryan O'Hearn and they were playing the Yankees and then he hit a home run?
Yeah. Detroit, bad. Third place. White Sox, bad. They need to blow it up and kind of start fresh. Royals, really bad. So we'll see what those bottom three teams do at the deadline. AL West, Texas still atop, 3 games ahead of Houston in that division. Houston plagued by injuries right now. Certainly plagued by injuries, but they pulled that game out last night against the Angels, and I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin for the Angels, who are in 4th place, 9 games out of first. The A's are bad. Mariners are at 500. I saw that a picture from as I was you were talking about the softy guy. I was on his Twitter looking to see if he had said anything else, and they filled one of the sections with Vlad Jr. jerseys in their team store, which makes no sense.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's a little weird.
But he does he have I mean, other than he won the home run derby, is that why
that's got to be it, right?
I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. Odd. Atlanta Braves still good at baseball. 30 games over 500. They are cruising.
They're scary right now. I'm
Really
glad we
scary.
faced them in May instead of right now, because we might not have gotten one game right now.
Yeah, for sure. They did drop 2 over the weekend, though. So, maybe they're a little human. The Marlins, losers of 3 in a row.
To who, Jack? To who, Jack?
To the O's. They're playing right now against the Cardinals. They're still in a good spot in the wild card there in the National League. I think they just need to, catch that fire again, and they'll be good. Philadelphia Phillies playing some really good baseball. In the month of July, they are half a game out of a wild card spot right now. New York Mets, not looking good. Verlander with another clunker. Just not coming together the way they wanted it to. Not even a little bit.
I know you're about to talk about them, but Jack, who's a bigger disappointment this year, the New York Mets or the San Diego Padres?
Probably the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just had so much hype coming in the season. I mean, they both are kind of in the same spot.
Exactly. They're like exactly the same. It's wild.
I mean, the Mets have a much tougher division just because the Braves are in it. But they're both 8.5 games out of the wild card.
I mean, you could say the Padres have a pretty tough division too, in the sense that they have both the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, but the Braves aren't in that division.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, in the NL Central, the Reds lost the weekend series to the Brewers, and the Brewers have jumped the Reds in first place. Oh, Gunnar Henderson to the track. Sorry.
Oh, you're still behind.
Oh, I'm very behind.
I won't spoil what just happened for you then.
Oh. I can feel my watch vibrating.
yeah, something just happened.
Yeah. Chicago, bad, 8 games out. Pittsburgh really has not been good lately. They're now in 4th place and rounded out by the Cardinals. Bad. Dodgers, 1st place. And how about the Giants? Giants have really surged up. They're in a wild card spot now, just a game and a half behind the Dodgers. In the West, they've won 5 in a row, looking to make it 6 against the Reds right now. D-backs kind of had a tough back half. Oh, yeah. That'll work.
There it is. Now you got it. Wow, you are really behind.
Yeah, this Masson app is really bad. Thanks, Masson.
Thanks a lot, Masson.
Arizona, 4-game losers in a row. I think they'll get back on it, though.
No, this is their dearth. I think they're good enough. They're going to get back up there. That's fun, though, that it's kind of a AL East vibe in the sense that they have 3 teams contending there.
Mm-hmm. So if the season ended today, you're looking at a home wild card series for the
Against the Blue Jays,
Orioles
right?
against the Blue Jays. Houston would play Minnesota, and then Tampa and Texas would play the winners of those series.
Jack,
Um,
I don't know about you. Um, I looked at my bank account the other day, and I've started the budgeting process, which I probably should have started a while ago,
yeah,
of
playoff tickets.
playoff tickets. I don't know
Yeah,
that I'm going to go for broke, right? But I know I'm going to
you
buy
got a lot of
playoff
years
tickets.
ahead, but I
Yeah.
feel like wild card series,
Mm-hmm.
2 out of the 3 games, maybe
Yeah.
ALDS at least one,
At least one.
ALCS ideally one, then World Series, forget about
Yeah. There's a
it.
World Series. I will be tragically in debt forever if we make
Yeah,
the World Series.
yeah,
I will have to sell my car. I'll have to sell my kidney.
yeah,
Um, that's why they made 2, right? That's why God gave you 2 kidneys is
yeah,
is so you can
exactly,
sell one for World Series tickets.
exactly.
But
So
I'm certainly gonna
the
look at wild card tickets or ALDS,
for
whatever we
sure,
end up in.
for sure. Um, so back here, back on the ranch. I obviously was not on the ranch, but
Missed
the
good stuff.
Orioles still had a good weekend nonetheless. Maybe I should go to Colorado more often.
Yeah, there you go. You not only did you bring the luck to Colorado for them to take 2 out of 3 from
Yeah.
the Yanks, but you left some luck here in Baltimore for the Orioles to start off hot, coming out of the out of the All-Star break, and it was we both kind of looked at this series, Jack, last week with dread, where we were like, "Wow, um, July is a tough month for the
Yeah.
Orioles." Because the Miami Marlins, who suddenly had gotten into the playoff hunt, were surging, were quietly being really good.
Hmm.
Um, came to town, and then after that, obviously we're playing the Dodgers right now, who are always really good and things like that. Um, I came into this series with a lot of anxiety because I was like, man, if we don't get off on the right foot after the All-Star break, like that could be catastrophic to the Orioles, like division
Hmm.
hopes. And they played well, man. I mean, uh, first and foremost, Friday night, Dean Kremer. How about you, Dean Kremer?
Shove.
6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the matchup for this game. You see Dean Kramer versus Sandy Alcantara, and obviously Sandy has not had a good year by any means,
Right.
but he's still the reigning NL Cy Young champ, and I mean Sandy 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 5 Ks, 2 homers. I mean the homers are what got him. I mean Cedric Mullins
Oh yeah,
get
Cedric
into one.
Mullins, Adam Frazier.
Adam Frazier with a pair of them.
Adam Frazier had a pair of them, and an important one in the 8th, because in the 8th inning, with the Orioles up, 3-1, Yanier Cano came in and he gave up a home run. And very rare for Yanier Cano to not look super sharp. Like usually it's all right, get the ball to Cano, then to Bautista, and we're good.
Yeah.
Cano didn't look super sharp in this one. And so then you were kind of nervous, like, oh man, going to the bottom of the 8th, uh, are the Orioles going to blow this? Because it was a tight game throughout. And then what was hilarious about Adam Frazier's home run, his second home run, I should say, is he was up to bat with a full count. I'm sorry, he was up to bat 3-1. That's what he
Yeah.
was at, 3-1. Pitch comes in, clearly off the plate, and calls a strike. Adam Frazier was already halfway down to first base, and they called it a strike. And
Right.
everyone was like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me?" The very next pitch, Adam Frazier hits a laser home run.
Yeah, I mean, think about Adam Frazier, right? What we thought about him start of the year,
Well,
and
yeah. I mean, the dude's been like fine. He's kind of like a rally starter. Like he gets on base somewhat. Like no crazy numbers, just kind of a solid player.
yeah,
The first home run he had in the game set his career high for home runs.
yeah.
And then
I
he
mean,
hit a second one. Like every home run he hits from here to the end of the season, we have half a season to go, is going to be setting his career high in home runs.
I gotta know what these Oriole coaches are doing, so I can use it
Well,
when I
I
coach because because this is nuts. Like we got guys who are like totally like twilight of their career. Adam Frazier, who really hadn't been that dominant since he was on the Pirates, and he comes to Baltimore. And don't get me wrong, he's not having like a crazy year, but he's doing like better than advertised, right? I
yeah.
mean, in this game he was 3 for 4 with four RBIs. Outside of the Mullins home run, he had all the RBIs.
Well, that's what I think Kevin Brown said it best. He's like, when it comes to free agency, it's a really good advertisement for the Orioles to reach out to guys and say, like, look what we've been able to do with Adam
Right.
Frazier. Look what we've been able to do with these guys where come here, we've got coaches that can help your game and you're going to do even better in your career.
Yeah, Ryan
Um,
O'Hearn is another great example.
yeah.
Even like Kyle Gibson obviously has some blow up starts that'll inflate the sample a little bit, but like he struck out 12 guys in that game.
And then at the end of this game, you had Felix Bautista fresh off of blowing the All-Star game. And we've talked about it before, Jack, when Felix Bautista doesn't do well and he comes back right after that and he just seems pissed off that he
Mm-hmm.
didn't do well.
Yeah.
He seemed pissed off in this one
Yeah.
because he was just running it
Running it.
past guys. 2 strikeouts, and then I believe it was a pop-up to get the save. I also wonder this, Jack, because I watched the All-Star game, and we're used to Felix Bautista where he's throwing fastballs that are, 101, 102, even touches 103.
Right.
In the All-Star game, he had a couple hit 100, but he was also hitting like 97 for the most part. I felt like every single pitch was like 97, 97. I kind of wonder if Felix Bautista was told going into the All-Star game, like,
Yeah, don't
hey,
overdo it.
don't go too hard and blow out your arm because we still need you for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that was the case.
Yeah, which, is expected.
Yeah, I'd rather him blow it in a game that doesn't matter than a game that does.
For sure.
And he performed really well in this one. So Orioles won that 5-2 Friday night. And then we went into Saturday night. That was the Kyle Gibson start that you were talking about, Jack. And yeah, Kyle Gibson did not look like he had it initially. Second inning, he gave up 4 runs, and you just you felt deflated. You're like, all right, well, here we go. This is a good team. This is going to be the game where they really give it to us. And wouldn't you know it, in the bottom of the second inning, the Orioles scored 3 runs. So suddenly it looked like, oh, this is going to be a blowout to, hey, we're within 1. This is a ball game, right? Battled back and forth there. Marlins scored 1 in the 4th. Orioles scored 1 in the 5th. And then wouldn't you know it, 7th inning starts off, first pitch. Who else but Gunnar Henderson hits a home run to tie it? And this was a laser that was just short of Utah Street. Followed by a pair of hits from Adley Rutschman, Anthony Santander to score Rutschman. Orioles took the lead. 8th inning, you brought in Cano. Or no, sorry. Yeah, you brought in Cano. Yeah, Cano came in, 1 inning pitched, only gave up 1 hit, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. And then Felix Bautista came in and shut the door again. And that's a game you stole. This is a game you stole from Miami.
I think like this has just kind of been the story, right, of the Orioles in 2023 is that you can never count them out, right?
Yeah, when you're not being blown out, you have a full confidence that this team's gonna come back.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that 4 spot could have really hurt, right? That could have like
Hmm.
totally tapped the Orioles out. But the offense like just straight up didn't allow it, and that's what good baseball teams do, right? Like you take a punch, then you throw one right back, especially when you're at home on a Saturday night.
Oh yeah. Real great game to win, and you just kind of it felt like there was a lot of confidence going into Sunday. And I don't know about you, Jack. I never feel confident about getting a sweep. Not once have I ever gone into um any final game of a series thinking like, all right, we won the first two, we're definitely going to sweep this.
It's really
And
hard to beat a baseball team three
yeah,
times. Like I don't care if you're playing a 3 game set or you just play like in college, like you just play them 3 times over the course of a year. It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
right. And sure enough, the Orioles came out in this one swinging. They put up three in the first inning, which had you suddenly going like, oh, hold on now. Starting to feel a lot more
Yeah,
confident about this. Another two in the fourth inning, and you went into the ninth up 5-0. But of course, who's not available? Yanir Cano or Felix Bautista. Nor do you want them to pitch when you're up 5-0.
right.
Um, the Orioles brought in Edward Bizardo, and
Yeah,
to put it lightly, Jack did not pitch well.
yeah. This was kind of his. It was like the first time like we have the chance to send him back down. Like they're gonna take it, and this certainly was that chance.
Yeah, 3 hits, three earned runs through a third of an inning. Um,
Yeah, no
and
good.
then you brought in Danny Colon to try and clean up the mess. He did, not in the most efficient way. Two
Got to
hits,
save for it.
did get a save, and did get a save. 2 hits, one earned run over the final 2/3. So the final score was 5-4, but throughout most of the game, it should have been a lot more than that because the Orioles were up 5-0 and then nearly blew it in the ninth. But you know what? All that's important, Jack, is they didn't blow it.
They did
So
not. And pretty formidable force for that last out for Coolum and Luis Arraez, who got to give a little bit of shine to. I know he didn't have a great series, but dude's doing insane stuff.
I'm super impressed that the first night he was held hitless. Friday night he was held hitless. He did get a walk, but he was held hitless. He had a heck of a game Saturday. And then Sunday he did well, but was that final out. So anytime you can get Luis Arraez out, that's kind of a big deal. Jack, are you there
Sorry,
with me?
some technical difficulties there.
You turned into a cartoon like silhouette.
Yeah, sorry
I
about
was
that.
scared.
My webcam like disconnected.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah, Luis Arraez. Totally lost my train of thought.
Luis Arraez, the Orioles shut him down Friday night. He put on a show Saturday. Was the final out Sunday.
Yeah, kind of seems like he's just either like completely on 4 for 4, 3 for 4, 4 for 5, whatever, or he's like completely cold and he'll go 0 for 5 like he did on Sunday, or like 0 for 3 in a walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
By
don't
the
know. I mean,
way,
I don't know.
how about Kyle Bradish on Sunday?
Oh yeah, dude, can't move past Kyle Bradish. First time he had gotten out in the 8th inning, which is a good sign. Yeah, he
Seven and a
pitched really
third,
good.
3 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts.
I mean, that's a stat line that that's like ace material stuff. 7 and a third, deep. That's a quality start. 8 Ks, no earned, limited hits against a pretty formidable lineup too.
My beginning of the year Cy Young guess, like for the Orioles,
Mm-hmm.
was going to be Kyle Bradish. I really felt like he had a lot of potential. We saw it last year. I mean, you and I were at a game last year where he went 8 2/3 or something
Yeah,
like
that was
that.
when
Like,
he was against Verlander on the Astros.
yeah, and he pitched amazing, and he had a couple starts, not quite that good, but he had a couple really good starts last year, which he was only brought up last year.
Right.
And so I really saw, and I think a lot of us saw a lot of potential in Bradish, in that he could be a really solid pitcher. And he's putting up, like you said, he's putting up stat lines that are like this guy could be an ace.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it took him a little while to get to that point. I mean, he had one or two bad starts at the beginning of the season, but since he's calmed down, he's been great.
Yeah.
And I really really like what the Orioles are doing with Kyle Bradish because
Yeah.
he's pitching to his full potential. I feel like.
And he bit last year. He was much better in the back end too. So maybe when he's a warm weather guy.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, and then on to today. You know, got the game going on right now. Dodgers are kind of threatening here in the top of the sixth. Grayson Rodriguez has been removed. Just gave way to Brian Baker.
Yeah, so the big news coming into today was that it was announced that Cole Irvin, the thing that you and I have been talking about, Jack, Cole Irvin was moved to the bullpen, and Grayson Rodriguez was called up to begin starting again. By the way, did you see the comments when Cole Irvin was asked about how he felt about me being moved to the pen?
No, I didn't.
Super class act, exactly what you'd expect from Cole
Yeah,
Irvin. He basically said, I don't care. I'm glad to have Grayson back. I want to win, and whatever role I have to be on this team to win, I am prepared to do that.
big team guy.
Oh, absolutely. And it was exciting to have Grayson Rodriguez back. He did just get pulled, like you said. Started off throwing some heat, Jack.
Yeah, that first inning was kind of nutty. Came out kind of sitting 90, 98, 99, and was touching 100.
He touched
Just getting it by
101.
guy. Yeah, I mean,
He
yeah, dude.
floored Ben McDonald because Ben McDonald was going, you see 101 from relievers all the time, but you rarely see it from starters.
Mm-hmm.
And he was throwing it consistently. I mean, the first two innings, he was throwing a bunch of balls at 101.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I mean, I didn't think he pitched bad. I think he just kind of ran out of steam here
yeah.
in the top of the sixth. Freddie
I mean,
Freeman.
let's face it too. He had a tough test to come for his comeback from the
Yeah,
minors to go up against the Dodgers, but at the same
yeah,
time, like on one hand, I was thinking like, wow, really, you're gonna put him against the Dodgers in his return from the minors? But then I also thought about it like they wanted him back now. They wanted him back in July, and as we talked about last week, where like if you wanted an easy test for him to come back in, it wasn't going to happen in July.
right, right. I
So
mean,
it
yeah,
was basically now or never.
like we said last week, like this whole month's kind of nutty. And the Dodgers, I think I kind of like him going up against the Dodgers. Like, throw him to the wolves. Let him see what he's made of. Like, if if Baker can get out of this inning, I mean his line's not horrible. Couple too many hits. But as it stands right now, he is responsible for that guy on third base. But line right now is 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks, which is much better than what we were getting before. I think this will be a great confidence booster, especially, I mean, his velo's back up. Like his velo's there.
back up, and one of the things they were talking about on the broadcast early on is the biggest problem his first stint in the majors was fastball location. They were talking about he was locating it up a lot, and that was allowing guys to hit the ball out of the park, or that was allowing to have the blow up inning. And early on, they were talking about he's locating that fastball down in the zone, and that works out a lot better for him. So he was working on this stuff. He put up great stat lines in his stint in the minors.
International League Player of the Month.
Yeah,
like.
And so it's just one of those that got to the point like, okay, I think we're done working on what we're working on down here. I think the one good thing about him facing the Dodgers too was this is a team that doesn't face you very often.
Right.
So it's not like they've seen Grayson Rodriguez before. Sure, they can scout him and have film and stuff like that, but you haven't faced him before. So that's a nice little thing too to, ease you in a little bit. I mean, but it's still the Dodgers.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we'll see if Baker can get out of this inning.
Does this for you, Jack? Because all the talk coming in to the trade deadline we can go ahead and do our trade deadline talk now. I feel like has been, the Orioles need pitching. They need starting pitching. They need middle relief pitching. We just got both without having to trade anyone, right? Because
Yeah.
we brought up Grayson Rodriguez. There's help in the rotation, and then you move Irvin to the pen. I trust Irvin a lot more than some of the other guys that have been coming through our bullpen. So you just helped out your bullpen right there. Does it change for you anything as far as like what you're looking for at the trade deadline?
I still think you need another middle relief guy.
I'd agree with that.
You need one more guy that you can really count on. Like outside of Cano, Bautista, who's really a lock that you can expect to go in there and get 3-6 outs?
I don't know of anyone that's a lock. I mean, Baker, we'll
Right.
see what he
So
does here, but Baker can be good.
yeah, I mean, you just kind of like that whole like mentality right there is that if any of these guys come in, you're really not like 100% confident. So you go out and get another guy that's been that 100% confidence guy for another team. Maybe a guy who's kind of surprising this year. Guy on the Rockies, maybe guy on the Angels. I know Estevez is really good out of that Angels pen. Think about guys that like they might be at their ceiling, and they'd be at their ceiling for the rest of the year, and wouldn't really call for a big return on prospects necessarily.
Yeah, it would really depend on the return of what you're, because if you're getting a rental, I don't want to give up too much.
No doubt. But I mean, that's a trade deadline, right? You gotta spend money to make money.
Right.
You gotta spend money to win. So
how do you feel about the idea of like, because this kind of leads into something I put in our notes. So Tyler Wells, Dean Kremer, and Kyle Bradish have all either reached or are approaching their career highs in innings, right?
Yeah.
Now on the Masson broadcast the other day, they were interviewing Mike Elias during the game. They were talking about Tyler Wells, who has obviously been pitching well. He's the ace of our staff right now,
Oh
probably.
my God.
What? Oh no. What am I watching? Oh no. So for those who are watching us or listening to us, we just watched Brian Baker give up a grand slam.
So yeah, middle relief guys.
So middle relief guys. Oh
Yeah.
God. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. You put up 4 runs on the Dodgers and then you give it up.
Yeah.
I
So
hate it.
definitely another middle relief guy.
Yeah, definitely another middle relief guy. How
But
do you
thinking
feel
about
about the idea of if you were to get another starter and then move someone like Dean Kremer to the bullpen, who's probably on an inning limit anyways, because that's again kind of like a 1-2 blow. You get another starter to help you out, and then you have someone else that's going to the bullpen who might be better than some of the other guys that are pitching right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Dean's a starter now, right?
Yeah.
It could be a kind of a mixed bag on what you get when he comes out of the pen, rather than having that full hour and a half to warm up, right? That's kind of his routine right now. And I mean, Cole Irvin is certainly somebody who has been going back and forth. So I guess it's not out of the question. But if thinking about these innings limits, I mean, if the Orioles want to win, right, they gotta keep throwing like this. So I think counting on them to stay healthy, one, and stay consistent in their game is going to be a big thing. And make a splash, add one more big arm. Market's not really crazy. You got like Eduardo Rodriguez, Shane Bieber on the market right now. So
Shane Bieber's hurt now too.
Oh yeah, he just won the 10-day. So you got Eduardo Rodriguez, who's pretty much a rental. I mean, he's got a player option in the following season, but I mean, he's obviously.
I've heard conflicting reports. Is Dylan Cease tradable or not?
He should be.
He should be, because the White Sox need to blow it up. But I've also saw a couple hints of people saying they're talking about Dylan Cease is the one guy they're not going to trade.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just because he has so much control, I think.
Yeah.
That would be a tough get for any team, regardless of his performance this year. But but yeah, I don't think that the White Sox should make him untouchable. Because I
They
mean,
got
they're
to blow
what?
it up. They have to start from
Yeah,
scratch. They have to
they're
trade
15
everyone away and
under.
see what they can get.
Their fans are out of it, man. Get
What
some
about
prospects. Start over.
another guy from Chicago? How do you feel about Marcus Stroman?
I love Stroman. I know he's kind of got mixed opinions on him. I really do enjoy Stroman's game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if he.
I think
We need.
he's in his last year.
He is.
Of,
He'll be a
yeah.
free agent next year. I just don't know, like, because I mean, he wasn't great last year. He was hurt too.
Mm-hmm. He's pitched
It's
well this
tough.
year.
He's pitched really well this year. I don't know. It's tough, man. I would be down for some Stroman. I mean, I'd be down for any kind of extra like pitching help.
Yeah. Because that's what I wonder if that's what's going to happen is if the Orioles go out and get a starter and then move someone like one of the young guys like Dean into the bullpen. People are talking about moving Kyle Gibson in the bullpen. You're not moving Kyle Gibson in the bullpen.
I don't
The
think you
whole reason of
can.
having Kyle Gibson is what Jordan Lyles was last year, and that was to eat as many innings as possible.
By the way, Jordan Lyles is 1-11 this year.
Hey, he finally won one though.
There you go.
Good for him. But yeah, I mean I could see that being the plan as well. Because if right now, if you get a starting pitcher, I think you get two moves in one because you can move whoever you take out of the rotation into the bullpen to help shore up your bullpen.
Do we
Because we
want
don't
that
really
though?
have a whole lot of guys in AAA or anything to bring up to help shore up that
No.
bullpen. We don't have other pitchers coming back. Like, you know, CNL Perez is doing a rehab start in Bowie soon, but he was awful for a good part of the season. He started to do well, and then he got hurt.
At this point, it really makes you wish Dylan Tate
Yeah.
was completely healthy.
And it sounds like I believe they have shut Dylan Tate down for the year.
Yeah.
So there goes that. Michael Givens kind of went down hurt again, and then we never heard from him again. He might be
Get him
in
out of
Florida
here.
serving a court case. I don't know.
Free up the roster spot.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to relief help has to happen one way or another. Whether that relief help is we get another starter and move someone else to the pen, or we go out and we get a reliever. Like it just has to happen. What do you think of all the apparently MLB Network today spent a perhaps too much amount of time on Ohtani to the Orioles?
What were they saying? What were they saying that it would take for the Orioles to get Ohtani?
I
didn't
never
see
saw
this.
what their proposal was, but their argument is that the Orioles are the contender that has the most amount to trade.
Yeah.
That was their argument, which is true. I would say that's true.
I would only want to get Ohtani if we could extend him.
That's my thing is there would have to be a guaranteed extension for Ohtani for me to be willing to trade for him.
And I mean, yeah, I don't know. Hold on.
And he's going to get $500 million at least.
Oh,
at
for
least.
sure. If not more. Yeah.
And you know, John Angelos is not about to sign a player for that.
No.
He doesn't like to spend money. He's going to look at it and go, well, we're doing this well this year and we spent $60 million. Why do I have to buy this guy for $100 million a year? Like, he's not going to go for that.
You think it would be 5 years, $100 million a year?
Maybe. I don't know.
AAV.
It's possible. Like it's possible for Ohtani. I anything's possible with Ohtani, honestly.
I don't doubt that he could get 50 AAV.
Yeah.
So I mean, like 8 years, 450.
Right.
I definitely don't doubt that, but
no, it was an exaggeration for sure. But still, I mean, like he's not going to be willing to spend that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
It doesn't come down to what we want or what Mike Elias wants. It comes down to what John Angelos is willing to spend. And John Angelos has shown that he will not spend, and he's going to use this year as confirmation of being like, this is why we should not spend. That's the tricky thing that I go back and forth. I mean, someone was sharing recently that the standings in the AL East and then what every team spends. And the Orioles obviously are last in spending. They're at like 68 mil a year. The Rays, I think, were at like 71 mil a year. Then the Blue Jays were at like 230 a year. The Red Sox, I think, were at like 160 a year, and the Yankees were at 278 a year.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, look at this. And on one hand, I'm like, haha, take that, Yankees, who have always bought your way into success. Like, this is a homegrown team. But on the other hand, that's a terrifying prospect for John Angelos to see, because he's just going to say, like, oh, why should I spend money on this team? We're doing fine without spending money.
Right. I don't know.
It's a two-sided sword, or whatever it's called.
Sure. So, looking ahead for the rest of the week, you and I will both be in attendance tomorrow evening.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be a good game.
Tyler Wells on the mound.
Against Julio Urias, right?
I believe so, yeah.
That'll be a good one.
It's going to be an exciting one.
No. Not Urias. Urias is Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Michael Grove tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, should be a fun game. They got like I said, Dodgers on Wednesday. And then we head down to Tampa for 4 games. Is this one of the bigger series of the season?
I think it might be the biggest series of the season.
Yeah, I think it kind of has to be. I mean,
because you have to figure right now the Orioles are 1 game back, right?
Right.
1 game back. The Rays are playing Texas right now. They have a tough challenge. They're in Texas.
They are up 2-0 right now.
They're up 2-0 against the Rangers, who are a really good team. Orioles, obviously, right now they're down 6-4. We don't have to talk about that. But the Orioles have a tough test. They're playing the Dodgers. Both these teams could go 1-2 in these 3-game series and say, all right, well, that's pretty good against good teams, right?
Yeah.
Which means we could theoretically go into Thursday still down 1 game in the division with a head-to-head matchup for 4 games against the Tampa Bay Rays. If everything goes well, theoretically, you could leave that series up 3 games in the division.
Yeah, I think obviously you want to win.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think a 4-game sweep is going to happen. But
obviously, you want to win any series. But I think this is a must split at the end of the day. 4-game series are tough for sure, especially away. But to keep the tiebreaker where it is, gotta split.
Have to split.
This is the one where you get all the guys fired up, right? Going down to Tampa.
Yeah, I'm curious what that plane ride down to Tampa is going to be like.
Well, hopefully on Wednesday night it's happy.
Yeah, hopefully it's happy. But hopefully it's also one of those, like, while everybody's sitting there, Hyde gets up in front of them and says, like, you guys know what you need to do here.
Like, a little kick in the pants.
There needs to be, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Orioles have been playing well. It's not like this sort of like, oh man, we got to turn something around.
Right.
It's not that type of speech. It's one of those like, we're down here to do one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
And that is to win. So like, stay focused, do what you have to do. You know, it's going to be really interesting what happens this week.
For sure. All right.
Well, Jack, do we want to get into the winner for the baseball card drawing this week?
Get it up.
All right, let me pull this up. The winner is, hold on, I'm pulling it up. I swear I'm pulling it up.
Technology's hard, huh, Jim?
It is Wendy, aka at Really Cool 31.
Congrats, Wendy.
Her and the person that won the other week, I forget your name. Sorry. You will be getting your baseball cards this week. The reason we didn't send them out last week is Jack does our mail outs and he was in Colorado.
You know.
Yeah. But
the way it
those are going to be
goes.
sent out this week. As we reminded you guys the past couple weeks, we have a ton of baseball card packs that we are giving away. So when we tweet out the week's episode and to listen to it on wherever you listen to podcasts, when you retweet that tweet, when you like it, and when you make sure you're a follower of UPod Street on Twitter, you will be entered for a chance to win some free baseball cards. All right. So make sure you retweet, make sure you enter, help get our name out there, and then also help you win some baseball cards. Oh, we gotta
wrap with this.
Oh, there we go. Tim Ertel says he's going to donate to my playoff ticket series. All right, thank you, Tim. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to start a GoFundMe to get me and Jack to the playoff series. How about that?
Sounds good to me. Live episode from playoff game.
Live episode from the playoffs. You're not going to be able to hear a word we say over the crowd, I'm sure. But it's going to be epic. It's just going to be one continuous episode of
yeah. All right.
All right, guys. Well, let's hope the Orioles can pull this one out. We'll see you next week. And, of course, let's go O's.
Thank you, everybody.
You've been listening to UPod Street, an Orioles podcast by fans for fans. UPod Street is an official Birdland Sports affiliate. Directly support the pod by purchasing UPod Street or other Orioles merchandise using the link birdlandsports.com/UPod Street. Get 10% off your order when you use the code UPod Street. Follow us on Twitter @UPod Street and @JackBain20. UPod Street is also on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the show on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. On whatever platform you listen, please subscribe, rate the pod, and leave a review. If you leave a review, we may even read it on the show. We'll see you next week, and of course, let's go O's.